Hey everybody, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. Today, as you can see, it's going to be Fantasy Zone for the 8-bit Nintendo, or Nintendo Entertainment System. This was originally an arcade game by Sega. Copyright says 1987 on the title screen here. Apparently released in 1989 for the NES by Tengen. There was also a Japanese exclusive version, not by Tengen, which is supposedly more faithful to the arcade game. I've yet to play it myself, but I do have it on my flash cart. I'll probably give it a try sometime. And yeah, we're going to play the Tengen one. This is one I actually grew up playing. Sort of. I played it a couple of times back in the day. A couple friends let me borrow the cartridge. But I did play it back in the day, and I did enjoy it. Going back to it now, and let's go ahead and just hit start and get right into it. Going back to it now, it is quite basic compared to, not really basic per se, as it is kind of clunky compared to, say, the Sega Master System version, or obviously the arcade version it's based on. It's not so much that the gameplay itself is clunky. I mean, your movement is actually pretty fine. It's fine. But the graphics just have this weird, like, chunky look to it, and some of the colors are kind of not very appealing, and everything's a little jerky in terms of the movement. Enemy movement, I mean. Again, character movement is actually pretty responsive, and I have no problems controlling this game, but compared to the other versions available around the same time period, you know, again, the Sega Master System version and the TurboGrafx version, both of those were home versions available in North America. This is definitely the weakest of the bunch. It's not to say it's not worth playing, it still is relatively enjoyable, and it is a fun game. So if I can sort of just chill out here for a minute and just grind on some enemies, I'll sort of explain how the game works. So Fantasy Zone is this... it's a shoot-'em-up that, kind of like Defender, wraps the screens around. So you're not forced on a single path. You can go left, you can go right, and it's pretty much all up to you. Every single level has a very specific goal to accomplish, and it's the same goal from level to level. And the goal is to destroy all of these large pod enemies. I don't even know what you call them. But there's a little bit, there's like a tiny little map in the bottom center portion of the screen, right above where it says gold. And that actually tells you how many more of these things you have to kill, and kind of the general vicinity of where they're located on the map. So this is the last one I had to take out. When you take out all of them, you get transported to a boss fight. And when you defeat the boss, you go on to the next stage. It's rinse and repeat. Different enemy patterns and different bosses for each level. And you'll eventually have a showdown with the final boss once it's all said and done. You'll also go through a little bit of a boss rush at the end of the game. Now, aside from trying to explain stuff to you guys, I'm actually kind of hoping the shop icon appears. There is a shop you can access. As you can see, I'm picking up gold. And you want to pick up as much gold as you can to make life easier. Bigger gold coins give you more money. Smaller ones give you less money. And certain enemy patterns will give you certain types of money. Like these enemy patterns on the first level, they typically give you really small gold pieces, but they give you a bunch of them. Later on in the game, certain enemies will start giving you bigger coins. In the beginning of the game, the big pod guys you have to destroy, they always give you bigger coins. But yeah, occasionally a shot balloon comes out, and it looks like it's not going to happen. It's supposed to happen multiple times a level. It always happens when you first enter a level, but generally speaking, it's supposed to pop out kind of randomly on its own as well, but it hasn't popped out again. I'm not going to worry about it because this first boss we have to fight isn't very difficult. And actually, I will say most of the bosses in this game aren't terribly difficult. Really, the only one that gives me a hard time is the final boss. There are maybe one or two other bosses that are hard if you die at them. Because when you die, you have to start the boss. You basically respawn right back at the boss, and you have to fight the boss over from the start, but with no power-ups. So let's go ahead. Actually, I just kind of want to keep getting money while I'm here. It's just like, it's this game, you can get sidetracked big time and just try to earn money over and over again rather than actually progress the game. That's one of the cool things about Fantasy Zone, in my opinion. It's, you can get distracted just doing other things as opposed to just progressing the game forward. So for those of you guys that have played the Master System, you can really see how clunky this version is in comparison to it. The Master System Fantasy Zone... Oops, I died. The Master System Fantasy Zone is a great, great game. Very colorful, very smooth playing. You can see these enemies are giving you more money now. And my shop icon has not reappeared, and that's not good. But yeah, the Master System one is a fantastic version of Fantasy Zone. I've done a Let's Play on that, actually, and I don't think I beat that one, but I did beat Fantasy Zone 2 for the Master System, which I also did a Let's Play on, so you guys can feel free to check those out. Maybe I'll post them in the description box below to give you guys a shortcut to them. But really fun games. Those are some of my favorite Master System games, actually. But, you know, that's not to say, again, the NES version isn't fun. I mean, if you've got a copy of this in your collection, if you're a collector and you've never played it before, I do recommend busting it out, giving it a try. It is still fun. It is still a enjoyable game. It would be a lot more enjoyable if the damn shop would reappear, but it doesn't look like it wants to, which is really interesting, because in the Master System version, and in the TurboGrafx version, and I'm pretty sure the arcade version, the shop will reappear when you die. When you die and you have to start the level over again, or continue where you left off, the shop reappears. And in this version, it doesn't look like it does, and which makes me think this version definitely had less attention to detail than other versions available. Which is going to be a little problematic, but it's probably okay. I've got some decent gold, 37,000, which is actually a lot of money starting off, because your weapons that you can pick up and your extra engines and so forth, they aren't really that expensive in the shop to start off. It's when you have to buy them multiple times from dying and so forth, they get more expensive every time you have to rebuy them. So you've basically got to shoot through this gap here to hit these little orbs on the inside, but it's not working out too well. Alright, let's get that shop. Alright, so I'm going to use the jet engine, which is really fast. It's $1,000. Top middle portion of the screen shows you how much gold you have here. You've got a variety of weapons and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and probably just skip the weapons for now. What I want to do is do the twin bombs. Those are permanent, whereas all of these other weapons are temporary, or limited use, basically. The wide beam, the laser beam, the 5-way shot, these are on timers. Fire bomb, heavy bomb, smart bomb, these are big instantaneous bombs that'll just destroy your big pod enemies in pretty much one hit. Those are one-time use. So I don't really care about those. I don't usually go for them. They might be useful in specific boss situations, but when I play Fantasy Zone, I don't really ever get them. What I do get are the extra ships, because as far as I'm aware, you don't get extra lives, and I've already died once. So we're going to buy a second extra life, and we don't have enough money for a third extra life. It's $50,000 now. First one was $5,000, second one was $20,000. So it takes you $75,000 to buy 3 extra lives, basically, which is crazy. What I will do is, just as an example, I'll buy... Oh, I don't know. I'll buy the 5-way shot. Of the weapons that you can get, I prefer the 5-way shot for general play. If I'm trying to use it against bosses, the laser beam is the best. I'll go ahead and just buy the laser. I'll go ahead and just buy all these because they're cheap right now. And as you can see, you've got sort of like an equipped screen here. So we're going to use the 5-way shot, jet engine. Jet engine might be overkill. I probably could have gotten away with just big wings, but I'll go ahead and take the jet engine. The only thing about the engines in this game is that you get absurdly fast, so you really want to take it slow and methodical if you decide to buy the jet engine or higher. I don't recommend going higher than the jet engine, because those are just way too fast in my opinion, and you just lose all forms of control with them. See, yeah, you can see how much faster I'm going now already. And since we picked up the twin bombs, we can fire 2 bombs out at once, which is very useful because the bombs are relatively powerful. Oops, okay. So the shop does come back out again when your weapons run out. So we're going to go ahead and just use the... you know, I'm going to time this to where we use the wide beam, and then it times out, and then we grab the laser beam right before the boss. Wide beam is not very powerful at all. It's just wide. It just makes your life a little bit easier if you're trying to shoot certain enemies. Okay, so the shop is back here. It's not really the shop per se, it's the parts select screen. So we're gonna go ahead and use the laser beam, kill this last pod instantly, go right to the boss, and have a little bit of our timer left over. And the hit detection in this version is really weird. Yeah, really weird. But we still killed the boss very quickly. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and not really do anything. I want to buy another extra life because I just want to play it safe. Everything is still relatively cheap, so I'm just gonna save. I'm gonna basically save all the weapons for later in case I die or something like that. So my big concern are lives, because I don't think you get continues in this game. There might be a continue code of some kind. So again, I want to get extra lives, especially in a Let's Play like this. You know, as many of you guys know that are familiar with my Let's Plays, I try to have the goal of being able to beat the games. Oh look, the shop's back out. I prefer to try to be able to beat these games on during my gameplay session here on YouTube. So I don't like doing Let's Plays where I don't finish the game, but I understand, like, you know, it's never a guarantee for me to finish a game. I've said this multiple times in many of my Let's Plays, but I like to re-clarify myself for anybody new that's watching. So I don't make any guarantees to beating the game, but I like to make all the effort that I can to finish the game. So a lot of times I'll try to play it safe. In games like this, if you have no continues, but you can purchase extra lives or something, I will definitely focus on purchasing those extra lives to try to give myself a better chance of finishing the game. So this boss, you basically just have to hit the colored parts of his arm, and a certain amount of hits, they'll turn green, and then that means you basically destroyed them. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch over, since I've got a lot of money now, 100,000. Buy another extra life. It's probably overkill, honestly, but playing it super safe. So I need to play it really carefully, though, on this level, because this is where enemies start shooting quite frequently. So you've got a lot of bullets you have to dodge now, and things like that. The way the screen scrolls in this game definitely feels weird compared to any of the other versions of the game. You know, the Master System and the TurboGrafx versions are the ones I am the most familiar with, and the ones I have played a lot. I actually owned both of those in the late 90s and played them quite frequently back then. So these big pod things, these big enemies that you have to take out in order to make the boss appear, they start taking a lot of hits as you progress through the game. So it's, you know, if you're not that great with kind of doing what I'm doing right now, it's probably wise to try to get like the laser or the 5-way shot or something like that, so you can pick these guys off and take them out faster, basically. I mean, the 5-way shot, it is what it sounds like. It's literally a 5-way shot. It's a spread shot. And so what's good about the spread shot is you don't even really have to be right in front of this guy to do damage to him. You can just sort of sit back from a distance and let the spread shot do the bulk of the work for you. So kind of playing it the way I am is a little bit riskier. But again, I like to sort of like conserve my money, use it for important things that'll really help me progress through the game. And there is no auto fire in this game, so you have to mash on the buttons, which might hurt some people's hands. What I find interesting about this version, and I don't think this happens in other versions of the game, but when you start a level, it seems like normal enemies drop big coins for some odd reason. And then the farther you get into each stage, they start dropping coins that are worth less, which I find to be really interesting. I don't think that happens in the Master System or TurboGrafx versions. So we'll go ahead and just get the 5-way shot, because the next extra life is way out of my league, and I don't think we're going to need it. What's funny is actually the last time I played this game, and I played it on stream just a few weeks back, just for fun, and I ended up beating it on my first try. No continues. I don't think I really died much, except on the final boss. So I've got a, really good feeling that we're going to finish this game. The final boss can be a pain, but in this version, I think it should be doable. Oh, I died. Yeah, I don't know if you really hug the side of the screen as much in other versions of the game as you do in this one. So it's really hard to react to certain enemies in this one. That's fine. We should only need the jet engine just to keep our momentum up, our speed. Oh, I should have bought the twin bombs too. Oops, that was my fault. So it seems like a good strategy is, let's go ahead and get the twin bombs. It seems like a good strategy is, if the screen starts... If you start getting pushed over to, like, this one edge of the screen, you should probably, try to push your way over to the other side, so you're more towards the middle of the screen again. Otherwise, you'll get screwed like I did. Is this guy not shoot bullets or anything? Oh well, I'm not complaining about that. So we're back over 200,000 bucks. I could actually buy another extra life if I really wanted to, but I'm not gonna worry about it right now. This might actually be the last level before the final boss. I'm trying to think. Makes me wonder if this version has less levels in it than other versions of the game. Alright, let's get that 5-way shot again, just to make life easier. I've got a lot of cash. Wow, the 5-way shot's really strong up close. Alright, one more. Alright, boss time. Yeah, I think this is the last boss before we get to the actual final boss. And he... In other versions of this game, this boss is pretty much impossible without speed power-ups. If you're at your base firepower range, yeah, we're at the final boss because it took us right to the shop. Not really the final boss per se, it's just a boss rush. So I'm going to go ahead and just stick with the amount of lives I have, because we might have to revisit this shop multiple times. So yeah, on this boss rush... Whoa! What the hell? I know that happens in other versions, but that was not supposed to happen like that. That was really weird. Like in other versions of the game, when those bullets ricochet like that, it happens when they touch the side of the screen. And like, for me it happened, like the bullets had only gone like halfway across the screen and they came back. That was really weird. So, you know, with like differences like that, it's actually kind of a big deal, actually. It makes the game much harder to predict. In games like this, you want to be able to predict them. And there's also just the other aspect. It's like, when you have a port of an arcade game, you kind of want it to be faithful to that arcade game. The Master System version, TurboGrafx versions are quite faithful to the arcade game. You know, within their own limitations. Like, the TurboGrafx version is by far the most faithful and the best version. The Master System has some changes, like in this version, where it basically every boss fight is in its own screen, whereas I think in the TurboGrafx version you fight the boss within the normal level itself, like in the arcade game. Like, the screen doesn't fade black or to blue or any weird color like that. The TurboGrafx was a much more powerful system than either the NES or the Master System. It was capable of far much more, so you got a more arcade faithful experience with that one. But still, you know, even with limitations like this, where you've got to, you know, you get forced off to a different colored screen to fight a boss, like, you still want the rest of the game to be as faithful to the arcade game as possible. And in this version of the game, it seems like they took some liberties with it, basically. And it doesn't seem like they were necessary liberties either, which is why I'm really interested to check out the Japanese version now. Because a lot of people say that it's much more faithful to the arcade game, and it's running on the same hardware, you know. Tengen was a American company. It was basically the home console division of Atari Games, and Atari Games is not to be confused with Atari Corporation. Atari Games was basically the arcade division of Atari, and actually in the late 80s they were basically a totally different company. They had nothing to do with the actual Atari Corporation, which was the console and computer Atari that many of us are familiar with. So Tengen was basically the home console division of Atari Games, the arcade Atari. And so I believe they handled most of the ports in the US. They might have contracted them out to other developers elsewhere, but... Alright, so this boss is going to be a little bit tricky with just this standard firepower. That might be it. That is it. That's the one that always gives me the most trouble, but we were able to do it. Nice, first try. Yeah, this story is really goofy, by the way. You can feel free to read it, but that is Fantasy Zone, guys, for the NES. The Tengen version for the North American market. I'm not sure if the Tengen version was released in other regions. If it was, let me know. Like, if you're over there in Europe and you know it was released there, let me know. I have not looked into it. It was a game that I played back in the day, and it was on the good old Tengen black cartridge, and you know, it's still a fun game. It's not phenomenal as far as like arcade ports go, but it's serviceable. It's playable. It's fun still. And if you do have a copy of it or see it around cheap, I do recommend trying it out. But again, supposedly the Japanese version is much better. So one of these days I'll give that a try, and I'll probably end up doing a follow-up Let's Play, so you guys can see that. So this apparently is one of those games that loops after you beat it. It's hard to say if it gets more difficult or not, but we are in the second loop. I'm probably not going to play through the second loop. Difficulty really seems the same, actually, because like these guys aren't firing any bullets or anything. They're just kind of like doing whatever. It doesn't really seem like, I don't know, maybe the guys are faster? I can't really tell, honestly. So, but yeah, again, guys, like I said, that's Fantasy Zone. Still a fun game. Not the greatest conversion, but it is serviceable. Let's go ahead and get a game over and end this Let's Play. So with that, apparently when you run into the big pod enemies, you kill them. That's actually pretty hilarious. I didn't know that happened. So, wow. Alright guys, thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this Let's Play. If you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe. I've got a lot of Let's Plays like this. A huge back catalog you can go check out. Also, for anybody that watched to this point, I should have said this in the beginning of the video, but there's going to be a greater abundance of Let's Plays over the next couple of weeks, because as of tomorrow, I'm actually going on vacation. And, well, by going on vacation, I'm taking off work. I was supposed to go to Pittsburgh for a little bit, but due to financial issues, I decided I'm not going to. And I'm just going to take a week and a half off and have some time to myself off work, which means I'll have plenty of time to pump out some Let's Plays and stuff like that, get them recorded, and upload them every couple of days over the next couple of weeks. So for the next couple of weeks, you should have a greater influx of Let's Plays. Some random stuff, some predictable stuff, and just some stuff I've been meaning to do for a long time that I haven't done yet. So stay tuned for those guys, and yeah, watch out for more Let's Plays from me in the next couple of weeks. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.